Hello, welcome back, and today we're going to be making delicious creamy chocolate icing that pairs very well with chocolate cake and even vanilla cake. I'm using my paddle attachment, and we're going to be making the icing using a stand mixer. So I'm using unsalted butter at room temperature. That's 2 cups of unsalted butter. It has to be at room temperature so it's soft enough and easy to beat. So I'm going to beat the butter at high speed until it's nice and creamy. And that will take about 2 minutes. I'm going to stop at intervals and scrape the bottom and sides of the bowl to get off any butter that might be stuck to the bottom. So after beating for about 1 minute, I stop it and then scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl, and then I beat it for another minute. So I've been beating the butter for about 2 minutes in total, and it's nice and creamy. So I'm going to be adding my cocoa powder now. I'm taking off the bowl because I need to sift the cocoa powder into the bowl. Cocoa powder usually has some lumps in it, so I'm sifting that so we don't have any lumps in our icing. I'm going to be adding half a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, natural unsweetened cocoa powder that has an intense cocoa flavor. So I'm using a spoon to kind of push the lumps against the sieve. And I'm going to be putting the bowl back and continue beating. So I'll start slowly, but I'll increase the speed to high and beat the butter and cocoa powder until they're well combined and creamy. That'll take about a minute. So when they're well combined, I'll scrape the bottom and sides of the bowl again before I start adding my icing sugar. So I'll be using 1 kilogram of icing sugar. I'm going to use that whole bag. I'll be adding it slowly and then beating, because if I dump in the whole bag, it's not gonna mix very well, and also the icing might splash around the counter. So I start slowly and increase the speed to high so that the sugar is well incorporated. So I'll keep adding it slowly as I beat. I don't really sift my icing sugar. I've noticed that when I use it without sifting, it doesn't really affect the consistency or smoothness of the icing, so I don't go through that process of sifting it. I just pour it in directly from the bag. So keep adding it slowly and beating on high speed until you add the whole bag of icing sugar. I really love this recipe because the bitterness of the cocoa powder, because the cocoa powder is really bitter, so the bitterness kind of balances out the sweetness of that icing sugar. We know how sweet icing sugar is, so So the bitterness from the cocoa powder really helps to cut down on the sweetness. So I've stopped it again and I'm scraping the sides and bottom of the bowl. It's getting really thick. So we're going to add some milk to kind of lighten it up or loosen it up. I think I added the milk off camera, I don't know why, but at this point I've already added about a quarter cup of 2% milk. You can use whole milk, you can use whipping cream, but I just used what I had on hand, which is 2% milk. I used a quarter cup, so that will make the icing more creamy and softer, because it was getting really thick and hard. So that milk kind of makes it softer and creamier. If you have whipping cream, you can also add that, or 3% milk or whole milk. I'm just scraping the sides and bottom of the bowl again, and then I'll beat it one last time. I'm going to be adding a tablespoon of vanilla extract. Even though it's chocolate icing, we still add some vanilla to add some flavor to it, and it kind of brings out more of the chocolate flavor. It's like vanilla just makes everything better. I just love it. So I'll slowly drizzle that in while the mixer is running. After adding the vanilla, we beat again for about another minute to get the icing really nice and creamy, get everything well incorporated. You can also use a hand mixer for this, but it will take way longer than the stand mixer. I'm adding a whole teaspoon of salt because I used unsalted butter, plus the salt is going to cut on the sweetness a little bit. Will balance out the sweetness. So now I'm going to be using this delicious icing to ice some cupcakes that I baked earlier, some chocolate cupcakes. So the chocolate flavor is going to be so intense. If you're a chocolate lover, you're going to love this. The combination of chocolate cupcakes and chocolate icing, using all natural unsweetened cocoa powder with a very intense cocoa flavor. So I prepared my icing bag with an icing tip, a 1mm tip or star tip. I'm just going to decorate the cupcakes with some rosettes. You see how creamy that icing is, so good, and it holds its shape very well. Just piping that on the cupcakes. You see how well it holds up, and it's so creamy and delicious. Not too sweet because the cocoa powder is actually bitter. Now we added some salt too, so it balances out the sweetness of the icing sugar. See how well the icing holds up. I just love it. You can also use this icing for vanilla cake. So good. It pipes very well. You can use it for cakes, cupcakes. Okay, that was trying to fall. Yeah, you can use it for your cake layers and cupcakes. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in my next one.